On today's installment of Big Al's Garage, child seats in classic cars. How y'all doing, and welcome to another installment of Big Al's Garage. Today I'm going to tell you a little bit about using child seats in classic cars, the laws and the risks, and everything else you need to know. Some of you know I am a very proud father to a 4-year-old girl and a 6-year-old boy. And they love going for rides in the Corvair, or Daddy's special car as they love to call it. And when I was first looking at buying the car, I was wondering, hey, are they exempt from car seat laws the same way they're generally exempt from other safety requirements? Now, I didn't research it too hard because my wife made it clear in no uncertain terms that if such an exemption did exist, that we would not be taking advantage of it. So one of my first acts was to install rear seat belts in this car, lap belts. So, let's get to it. Let's take a look at some of the relevant laws when it comes to car seats. Pull that up on my phone. Okay. Well, first and foremost, child passenger restraint law here in South Carolina. It's Article 47, Section 56-5-6410. I'm not a lawyer, by the way. Every driver of a motor vehicle, passenger car, pickup truck, van, or recreational vehicle operated on the highways and streets of this state when transporting a child under 8 years of age on public streets and highways of the state must properly secure the child in as follows. Infant or child under the 2 years of age must be properly secured in a rear-facing child seat. Child at least 2 years of age who's outgrown the rear-facing can be forward-facing. 4 years, booster seat, secured with the regular seat belt. 8 years of age or 57 inches tall can be secured properly by the adult safety belt. So at age 8, you're good. You don't need the child seat anymore. But if we scroll down a little bit, we get to Section 56-5-6420. If a motor vehicle lacks a rear seat, or if all of its rear seating positions are occupied by children under 8 years of age, a child under 8 years of age may be transported in the front seat of the motor vehicle if the child is secured properly in the appropriate child passenger safety restraint system or belt positioning booster. Okay, I didn't hear any exception in there for classic cars, did you? I didn't think so. So, simply by reading that statute, it would seem to me that classic cars are not exempt from child seat laws. Doesn't matter whether you're driving a Tesla or a Ford Model T, they've got to be in a child seat. But if we look at the seatbelt law, that complicates things a little bit further. Basically, I'll skip right to the good part. This law does not apply to the driver or occupant who possesses a written verification from a physician that he is unable to wear a safety belt for physical or medical reasons, medical rescue personnel attending to sick individuals in an emergency vehicle, school, church, or daycare buses. How funny is that? Kids got to be in a rear-facing, hermetically sealed bubble in your car, but they can bounce around in the church bus or the daycare bus. Occupants of vehicles in parades, public transportation vehicles except taxis, U.S. mail carriers, occupant to which no seat belts are available because all belts are being used by other occupants. And last but not least, a driver or occupants in a vehicle not originally equipped with safety belts. So there's the complication. No safety belts makes it kind of hard to use a car seat, doesn't it? Now I know there are some people on the Corvair forum who've actually installed latch anchors in their cars. I think the general gist of it is you make the best with what you have. Now, even if you're not required to use a child seat, still Seems like an unnecessary risk to me to not put one in unless you have a Concours quality car. It's probably worth your while to install seat belts in the back seat and secure a child seat properly. Now don't get me wrong, I am not one of those Karens who thinks that, a child should be rear-facing until they're old enough to get their learner's permit, or posts little reminders on Facebook about how your chest clip shouldn't be a micrometer too high or too low. And, it's easy to look at those people who take it to the extreme and make fun. But I'm also not one of the people on the other end of the spectrum who say, oh, well, we didn't have all this safety stuff growing up and we survived. Yeah, we survived, but not all of us survived. So definitely minimize the risk for your child. Bear in mind that cars like this, even though Ralph Nader's claims have largely been debunked, cars from the 60s were still wildly unsafe compared to more modern cars with airbags and crumple zones and 3-point safety belts. And I know, getting in this car, that I'm taking a risk, that my risk of being hurt or killed in an accident is far higher than a modern car. Now, it's one thing for me as an adult to knowingly take that risk, but as a fellow YouTuber, Steve Leto, excellently pointed out in one of his recent videos, a child can't make that choice. You're making that choice for them. So it seems like the prudent thing to do as a parent is to do everything possible to make it as safe as possible. One of the ways I do that is I try to avoid driving this car at peak travel times. It doesn't come out at rush hour. When I take my kids, we go out on secondary roads mostly. We avoid Wade Hampton Boulevard like the plague, just because A, it's less safe, and B, it's also a lot less fun to drive. I think I can count on one hand the number of times I've taken this car on the interstate. And you need to be an attentive driver and be on your A game when you're driving one of these cars. The biggest safety feature is what's sitting behind the wheel. That is about it for that. You make the best with what you can with car seats. Use them whenever possible. And, have fun when a Karen sees you loading your child into your classic car and watch your head explode. Anyway, that's all for today. Please like, share, and subscribe, and continue to watch this channel. We'll be doing more projects with the Corvair, more maintenance on my other daily drivers, and a lot more other fun videos. So please stay tuned.